And it's the 19th of March, 2024. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Gimbalabs Playground. It's the last playground session of winter. Yes.
Yes.
So big spring, a lot of optimism around for all sorts of reasons. And we are so excited to have Peter and Darlington join us, representing several different projects, among them Unifiers, Lido Nation, Talking Governance, Talking Cross Chain. So excited to jump into all that. Before we do, just give the typical overview of what happens at Playground. This is a public Miro board. You can access it at gimbalabs.com/playground. And what you'll see on this board is that we get together every Tuesday at 1800 UTC. We're pegged to UTC time. So thanks for everybody navigating the time change. Some clocks sprang ahead a couple weeks ago. I think European clocks spring ahead soon. So whatever, if your clocks change, the starting time of this meeting changes for you, but not everybody else. So just keep in mind, we're pegged to UTC time. And what we do every week is we get together and we talk about something. And you can see a list of folks who have presented over the last few months since the start of the school year here in the Northern Hemisphere. Lido's back, for example. And today you can see right here, March 19th, we've got Darlington and Peter. How did they sign up? They just came over to this Miro board. They found an empty row. They dropped their names in, or in their case, I guess one of you dropped a name in and somebody else jumped in too. That's fun when that happens. Go for it. But that's really the whole sign up process. All you have to do is write your name here, and that's it. You're officially scheduled. We hope you'll show up. We usually start with a little bit of chit chat, some announcements, but by quarter after the hour, we try to jump in. And I think we'll beat this agenda today because we have, I like that. Darlington called it an opening act. So yeah, it'll be fun to get this festival started. And just for anybody else who's wondering what kinds of presentations are possible, really anything you want to talk about. If you've got a product to pitch or something you're working on, if you just have a general idea and want to start workshopping it, asking for feedback, or even a high-level conversation about a topic, all of that's fine. Often these conversations are a combination of all of the above. So I'm excited to have a couple of those conversations today. Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Peter. Thanks for joining us today. What are we going to talk about?
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, first off, thank you, Darlington, for letting me sneak in here. But yeah, today we're going to talk about unifiers. So this is a Fund 11 project um, that the Cardano community voted on and decided was valuable enough to get some scratch in this most recent innovation funding round. So yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and kind of go over our deck, and then I'll try and do that in like 5 minutes, and then open it up for some questions, comments. I want to riff, uh, and then I'll hand it over to Darlington. All right, so here we go. So yeah, Polkadot Cardano unifiers, engaging the technologically advanced yet sometimes misunderstood Web3 communities to compare notes, to share best practices, and to co-create solutions to common issues. So as you can see, this is quite ambitious, especially when everybody's heads down in their own lane, doing their thing. I think that it's really cool that we were given this opportunity to try and disrupt that cycle a little bit, and hopefully inspire some collaboration. Um, and let's see, I think I'm gonna talk about this unifier's metaphor really quick. Where should I do that? I'm just push forward a little more. All right. So yeah, we propose to explore three different like pillars or directions: Web3 adoption, open interoperability issues between the two ecosystems. We are a group of Polkadot and Cardano ambassadors. Everybody except for me is some form of an ambassador. I'm just a Project Catalyst decentralized worker, uh, some form of entrepreneur. And yeah, we're here to fire up members of both communities and equip them with social tools and tools for understanding each other and creating lasting collaborations. So we have this picture here of some crazy people with whoa with masks on around a fire. Um, they're wearing masks, so they're anonymous.
Yep.
Some of them are anonymous, some of them aren't. But they are, yes, sitting around a fire together having a conversation. And so that I kind of think of that metaphor as a uniting fire that uh, that kindles some type of connection. I know all of you have sat around a fire, enjoyed that. So let's take that home with us here in this metaphor. Um, yeah. So all the developers of both ecosystems in their own lane, doing their own thing. We're here trying to disrupt that. I'm gonna go straight into the plan. So what are we doing right now? We're onboarding people are ourselves into the project. We did a kickoff call last Friday, a kickoff Twitter space last Friday with Bullish Doubling, kind of are hitting the ground running. We're starting to roll out all the organizations for all the organization and publish it for our working groups. That's coming together. I think we'll have that largely published in the next couple weeks. But yeah, then we'll be exploring these 3 working groups from April to June, and then writing some reports and disseminating the results via creators in the community. And hopefully we can engage some of those people along the way, especially in my working group, Web3 adoption. And so yeah, we're starting exploring and fostering divergent thinking, and then towards the end we'll be converging and synthesizing use cases and pain points that then can be published and spread throughout the ecosystem. Then we hope to go for future rounds of funding in different ecosystems as well as Project Catalyst and Cardano. All right. Then, yep. This is our budget. Got 140,000 ADA. And this are our milestones. And with that, I'm going to switch gears and kind of give you a little let me show you the team. So yeah, here is our group of ambassadors. You got Just Loose. She's actually a senior Polkadot ambassador. And her and I will be doing the Web3 adoption workshop. Then Felix, who I think he was on the call, and Victor are facilitating the governance working group. And Frank looks like a crazy guy. He's a fun guy. And Mark will be heading the interoperability workshop. Then Tommy, who's a Polkadot ambassador and also a community advisor from Project Catalyst, he created the GPS program and everything in Catalyst. Is one of the most he co-created it, one of the most fully formed uh divergent Catalyst models that came out of underneath Catalyst a couple years back, or maybe a year and a half, couple years. And then we have some creators, Dumpling and Peter Bowie, helping us talk about what we're trying to do here. And then yeah, so now diving at the Web3 adoption working group. Our mission is to find use cases for collaboration between Polkadot and Cardano builder community, exchange experiences, share knowledge, connect and grow. I have a submission. This is not officially completed yet. This is my riff. I got this completely signed off with my my working group co-host. But anyway, I want to syndicate headlet STAP into infrastructure for both Cardano and Polkadot communities. I'm not sure what that means exactly for Polkadot, but that's what I'll be exploring. And yeah, we'll be using Zoom and mirror boards, and I have some potential workshop categories down here for yeah, focused groups, and that's about it. I'm looking for questions from everybody who might have them on like questions that help raise pain points and bring use cases to the table for both of these ecosystems, especially stuff that would be technically interesting to the developers who are building there. As much as it helps with understanding to remain surface level, we need to get into the nitty gritty on this a little bit. So, thank you for listening to my little presentation and spiel. Does anybody have any questions, suggestions, feedback? Tell me I'm crazy. Uh, yeah.
Is there an initial meeting on the calendar that people can look ahead to?
Let's see. On the calendar as of yet, I think there is one small working group meeting, but it's like invite only for the governance to start. But other than that, none of the working groups are online. We just had our kickoff call last Friday. We have a identity and planning session with our core team this Saturday. And my guess is starting next week, we'll have announcements that'll like start next week or the following week, have some announcements that start like actually saying, all right, these are the workshops, they happen in these periods of times, these are different topics. Like we're gonna sick some order on you guys soon. But don't have it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Congrats on
definitely,
this.
I definitely would like to attend one of these meetings. Definitely. Please share the link when
For
we
sure.
can we can attend it.
I'll
It's
I'll
really
come back
interesting.
through here. I'll come back through here once we have more of a plan and share all the working groups and kind of their schedule and strategies. How about that?
Oh,
And,
Yeah.
and congratulations, man. Congratulations. Fantastic work.
One.
Hey, Peter, I have the
Hey, man.
most challenging question for you. Tell me
Okay.
about Polkadot, because I only talk about Cardano and I don't know anything about Polkadot. So give us
Okay.
an idea of what Polkadot is and how it differentiates with Cardano, and how the interoperability aspect of that can happen. I'm really looking forward to hear that.
Yeah, I'll do that quickly.
Super.
So Cardano and Polkadot are different. Cardano is the EUTXO blockchain. We all know what that means. No one else in Web3 does. uh, as far as Polkadot has it uses the same proof of stake consensus mechanism. It has different names inside Polkadot. I think it's called like Beefy and something else in Polkadot, but Ouroboros is used for that. They have this other model for their relay and parachain. So they have kind of a different architecture, one that kind of combines what you might think of as like a layer 1 and layer 2. They get some efficiencies with their parachains by doing all their coordination and synchronization through a relay chain in the center. And so when you go into their wallets, you can like switch between all these chains. It is a different experience than in Cardano, where you have just different types of tokens essentially. And especially since there's not a ton of bridges in with Cardano, so that's not like in our workflow generally as well. Then what else? Okay. Governance, since that's a hot topic on Cardano. Governance
oh,
on Polkadot is complete. Oh, Felix came off mute. You want to add something, man?
Yeah, because that's some quite intense deep dive on Polkadot over the last weeks and month already. So what is actually quite fascinating, Juan, to your question, it's exactly the same. It's an open community and the ecosystem of a bunch of people and projects coming together to build up the ecosystem. In this regard, what is quite different between Cardano and Polkadot is on governance, Polkadot is already a little bit advanced. So they have already fully on-chain community-owned treasury. They have already implemented voting delegation, stuff like this. They have the same process like we have with Catalyst or Intersect, right? So grants, ideally, which are enabled from the Polkadot treasury to further support builders. What is interesting, Polkadot is not limited on, it doesn't have a max supply of tokens. So it's more like smart contracts all the time we maintain this stuff. But overall, very, very much the same as here. You can see a bunch of sub-communities, sub-projects, all in their own niches about DeFi and NFTs and governance and whatnot. And they work on the exact same challenges and problems as we do, right? What is interesting in Polkadot, the founding entities became fully obsolete already. So for example, Web3 Foundation or Parity, they don't play any significant role anymore in Polkadot, let's say. For example, Polkadot core development is managed by a group of community members, which is called the Fellowship Program. It's like it's a program where it takes 17 years to achieve the highest rank. And this is right now a group about over 70 people from the community. So veterans like you who started to engage, and from the developers, then this is actually a program where they maintain and run the whole core development. So in our regard would mean, okay, it wouldn't be IoT and whatnot. In this regard, it would be actually really community. So these are some learnings for this. But from my side, I think that's fascinating to compare on the side. Where Cardano is much better, we have a much more global community, much more, let's say, local, boots on the ground. We have strong Latin American community and Africa and East Asia. This is something what they are definitely lacking, right? It's a hardcore developer focused ecosystem, I would say, not that wide and open as Cardano in this regard. So that's also another good Kilian. But lots of things you learned in Cardano, you will see very familiar in Polkadot as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I just see that Polkadot focuses more on creating a web of interconnected blockchains, which is great. That's exactly what Cardano is looking for, to carrying interoperability. So super.
Yeah,
Thank you, Peter, and I apologize for putting you on the spot.
no,
But
do it.
you did it
I'm waiting
perfectly.
for people to put me on the spot, man. It's motivating.
That's why I make the most, yes.
It's better. I'd rather be put on the spot than ignored. You know, just scream into the void and screw that. Anyway, thank you for having the unifiers here in the Gimbalabs Playground. Thank you, Felix, for stepping up and being broad and concise at the same time in delivering a differentiation between Polkadot and Cardano. And with that, Darlington.
Cannot wait to hear more. Peter, thanks. Felix, Unifier's work. Anybody else is doing it. That's incredible, guys.
Yeah, these working groups. Super cool. Before I jump into my stuff, where would the fire hose for what Unifier is doing be? Like where would the stream of information and stream of consciousness be happening?
Yeah, let me get the link to our Discord. That's the place where, you know, another Discord link, y'all. But
yeah.
that is the place right now. As some of you have noticed, I sent you an invite. I'm gonna be doing some more guerrilla marketing announcement tactics with this project. You know, get my spam on a little bit. Not completely. I'm gonna follow the rules and do it with taste, but it's important to get people's attention. And just posting your announcements in a Discord server does not cut it anymore.
Neat. Well, with that being said, we will switch gear here. Did I? Okay. Thanks for this space. I hope to have more of these interactions here and other spaces as this project goes along. It would be nice to catch 80% of the pain points before I write the last line, hopefully.
Word.
For the MVP. So here we go. This is a new process for Lido. It's kind of mixing waterfall with agile, but bringing all the stakeholders of the project on as early as possible, including all the development team, the design team, the bureaucracy people, everybody in the same document, reading the same thing, and hopefully having it be in a language that everybody understand, that's accessible, so that there's limited surprises when the final thing comes out, and you can see room for opportunities early on and even start bookmarking thing for iteration. So I like this process. I will try it again. This is our attempt at a blueprint and some user stories for the Intersect grant to build a DREP campaign platform for the Cardano community. If you're watching the YouTube and you have no idea what any of those words mean, Intersect, DREP, Cardano is a blockchain on Cardano.org to learn about that and how it works. Voltaire is one of Cardano's final initial development phases, I should say. It's supposed to introduce governance to where how new features and new functionality gets added to Cardano happens instead of it being a small quorum of 2 to 3 companies. It could be hundreds of companies and individuals, hopefully. So that's what Voltaire is all about. And then DREP is a term within this whole Voltaire phase of development. It stands for delegated representative. It's a way to get people who may not have a lot of time on their hands to delegate that voting power. In the same seamless way, if you already are a holder of ADA, you can contribute your security, your effort to secure the network to a stake pool. It's a process that doesn't require you to send your ADA anywhere. It doesn't require you to actually know the stake proof is personally. They don't know you personally. It's the fancy term is what is the thing? Yeah.
It has
It's
to do with custodial.
self-custodial liquid staking. So you hear that fancy term? That's what that is. Yeah, so it gives you the same thing on the DREP side of things. So you can delegate your ADA, your voting power to a DREP, and they will be able to use that power to vote when votes come up. Well, if you are a budding DREP and you want to play this public role in the community, or if you are going to be just a voter for yourself, either of those people, this tool we're building is meant to give you a place to go and help you with the work of discovering proposals, leaving notes. If you are a public DREP, it's supposed to give you a way to help with your marketing, your communication with the community, and your delegators. So that's the big idea. That was a lot of words to say what's been said here. Hopefully this makes more sense now if you're new. Yeah, so so far we're thinking to enable this to do that task of we want to provide a platform to help with marketing for the non-technical DREPs, and then to help with communication to Cardano, and as well as your delegators, or just a space for you yourself as a private DREP to work. We will need to have support for Cardano wallets, obviously. So this part is pretty straightforward. I don't think we're going to have any. Well, so with the wallet connection functionality, so far the direction is the DREP will have a Web2 login, like an account that they log into. It will still be powered by their wallet, but as a Cardano holder, you won't have to have a login to engage with the site, to engage with your DREP. Your wallet would be a login, which is nice. And then DREP will be able to create a profile that can help them stand out. So far in these came out of conversation with Intersect and the original request. But of course, they're flexible. That's one of the questions for this session. What would you want to know about a DREP? If you are looking at a profile, let's just put that here. Questions. The current working things are platform statement, their background expertise, and their perspective. As the lead developer on this thing, I'm still actually struggling between platform statement and perspective. So maybe that's a point of discussion. And then DREP will have some things live on chain, some information live on chain and off chain. This tool will help you if you're not good with the CLI, or if you think CLI means clinging or CLI, then this will help you update your on-chain information using the web browser. And then of course, once you have a profile, you're not, we're not going to hold you to this. This can change. So you'll be able to update all of that stuff. And then that's the creation part. On the viewing part, as the public, we're thinking we will have a one place for you to go and see everything there is to see about a DREP that we know about. So we're calling it a timeline. This timeline will give you a read version of this information that we have. Plus anything we know about the DREP online, and potentially what else would you want the DREP to volunteer? Maybe what else? But we're thinking the same bio stuff and then voting record and summary, that metadata. DREP has the ability to create a note on the platform. A note is a blank canvas. It can be for you. It can be about a subject matter. It can be for your delegators. So however they create a note and use it, you will be able to see those notes on that timeline and engage with it. And we would do our best to make sure that all the information that's on here is machine readable. So when you're Googling, they can surface easily. And then as a user in Cardano, you will be able to react to a DREP note. You can leave a comment and you can leave some reactions. Question, what emojis should we have? This been university long research about emojis and their usefulness, and I'm not qualified to make any professional psychological assessment about emojis and how useful they are, but I would love to hear what you guys think. I like seeing them on stuff. This is more stuff about the DREP notes and how they work. By the way, let me put this in the chat. This is public. This is in the Intersect Slack. If you're in there, this is on the Twitter announcement, and now it's here, so you can pull this up. So we've got the concept of notes. You can create a note. They can be commented on. They can be followed. Notes can have visibility settings to where they're only for you. They're for the public. They are for just your validated delegators to have their wallet connected. And then notes can be edited. This is a question mark. If some notes should not be allowed to be edited after a while. So question mark, question mark, question mark. And then, of course, if you are a researcher in Cardano, DREPs, and their mindset, we want to have some tools from our Catalyst background. We want to have some pages that you can go to kind of see, aggregate information, like all of the public notes that is in the system. And anyways, there'll be a page to see all the notes from all the DREPs if you want. And then a way to allow delegator to delegate to a DREP. All Voltaire actions right now is being directed to the Gov tool. So we will probably deep link to that tool. Or we might just build the transaction ourselves and save you a click. We'll see about that. I'm still talking to the Intersect Gov2 team about exactly some of those user experiences. As a Cardano user, you have a page, even though you don't have an account in our system, you will be able to go to a page that should show you all the stuff we know about you on chain. Your DREP history, your wallet voting power, current votes that your power is being contributed to, stuff like that. And then last but not least, like I said, this is just one tool in the suite of Cardano Voltaire tooling. I really hope, I'm still trying to coordinate with the other teams that's building stuff, but if we're API first, then I'm hoping there can be some rich integration that saves you. Because right now, my understanding of all the grants that's been given out is we will have Gov tool, and then we will have 3 or 4 different completely separate hosted websites to do things. The proposal discussion, the forum, and am I missing something else? So it would be nice, even if it's just for read-only view, to bring some of that stuff in so you don't leave context, but then be able to link back to them. Yeah, so that's the big idea right now. There's a mirror here that kind of has some of these user stories that that encapsulate all of this work. And then it's got two segments. Can I click on this? Yes, Miro. Someone told me Gimbalabs love Miro, so I thought, it's only sensical to have a Miro. It's pretty simple.
Sweet home.
Yeah, it's just the functionality. So these MVPs are going to turn into discrete development tasks to kind of bring these things into fruition. And then we've got some nice to have that's being tracked here. So that's the pitch, or that's the big idea. So what I was hoping to get from you guys is for some of these questions that I have, and then what questions are coming up for you as I kind of went through the stuff here. And I've been recording them in this document. Last time I had this conversation with a group, this was the question that came up that I hadn't thought about before. Do we want to facilitate on delegating to a DREP? I don't know if I've even heard that in Voltaire conversations completely. But anyways. Over to you, Steve. You got a hand?
Darlington. Lovely hearing your dulcet tones. So let me, I'm because I get fuzzy really easy. You're doing this work based on funding from a Catalyst proposal?
An Intersect grant. I have
An
the link.
Intersect grant. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the Intersect stuff that I've gone to, and they're talking about DREP representation, then they're talking about you, what you're doing. They're not doing something separate also, are they?
I'm part of Intersect, so I am they.
You are they. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm with them, you are them also, and we are
Yeah.
us together. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad to know that. I'm not clear yet about what I'm going to be doing. I'm kind of like a caterpillar, and I'm in that vaginal cell state. So, but I'll be coming out of my cocoon here in the next week or so. And we'll see what happens. And I'm actually packing clothes right now, and I'm just wondering if anybody in the group knows how to fold thongs, because I'm really not clear on that. Thanks.
I think you do them vertically, and then that's it. Oh, that's a great question. Well, anybody else? What if you're looking at,
I had a question when you put the first red question up, what do you want to know about a DREP? What assumptions, if any, will the platform make that we will know the real life identities, or that DREPs will dox themselves?
So, right. Right now, as the dev team is assuming that there will be opportunity for both. I think in one of the current markup we have, there's even a space for a profile picture, but everything is optional except the stuff that goes on chain that's going to show up in the spec and in the metadata. So we leave the doxing to social consensus.
Yeah, it seems according to the metadata standard that you'll be able to be completely anonymous still. So people will be able to dox themselves, and my guess is the money will talk. And go. We'll see though. You can have an anonymous DREP that has delegation from a bunch of whales, and it'd be pretty silently powerful there. I think that it's an interesting question. How do you oust a DREP? I don't even think that's possible. I haven't heard that ever before in any of the SIP 1694
It would be like
discussions.
ousting a stake pool. You can't oust a stake
Yeah,
pool. People can
Right.
choose to undelegate from it.
right. Yeah. So you can just take your liquid stake elsewhere, and that's the equivalent. Just like you can't really like kick anybody out of any Web3 conversation. They'll just like pop back up in the next Discord,
Right, because the floor is similar to the stake pool in the sense that there are new certificates that you have to register, and I think there's deposits involved, and then you unregister those certificates when you no longer want to be a DREP.
That's pretty cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's not expensive to do that. It's gonna be less than
Yeah, and get the ADA
few
back.
ADA. Yeah.
And we do plan to account for that on the DREP listing page. We want to show it's not DREP listing page here, DREP notes, dedicated page, DREP. We want to show, much like we do with the stake pool, validated DREPs, because I'm not going to. I'm gonna let anybody who wants to create a profile, because this is a marketing and communication tool. Even if you haven't created a certificate on chain yet. So we'll need to separate between the validated DREP versus not yet, or registered versus unregistered. And then I was thinking active versus non-active. I think in the SIP, there is a definition for what active means. Or at least that came up in conversation.
Yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
that
Right.
is part of
Threshold
it or
of
not. Go ahead. Sorry.
threshold of that the DREP has to vote on specific threshold in a specific time frame. And then you have other parameters which apply. Okay, how is the DREP then actually recognized by, let's say, for example, the whole stake? So, for example, you have to have at least X amount of total registered votes as a DREP if you don't reach this. Right, there are a bunch of thresholds, but I think main one is really engaging in voting. Yes, nay,
Right.
or abstain can be free, but you have to engage a minimum amount of.
Right. So being able to show that and be able to find those DREPs that are active and the ones that are not active. And then, of course, being able to show the deregistered DREP, the ones that are gone. One thing that came out of Twitter conversation, not surprisingly, is a DREP Tinder interface. That's going on the nice to have, but
Yeah.
it's
What
Oh.
would be cool, maybe some sort of categorization, right? What makes it easy for people to understand, oh, this DREP is a tech guy. He's a developer. He is qualified to vote on tech proposals. Maybe not the best guy when it comes to community events on the ground. Maybe there, shut the fuck up. Right. Listen, but I think make it really easy for people to understand already what is the area where you're in, because I think in this regard really support the context of governance. Make sure to help the reps already to figure out where are your strengths actually, where are you able to make the most qualitative decision making in this regard, and use the categorization and areas to both once support the DREP, but also to support the delegators, right?
mm-hmm.
You know, thinking about all this, I'm realizing that as a delegator myself, I'm not going to care what people say about themselves, right? What problem statements they might put on a site like this, or what expertise they claim they might have. In the long run, what I care about are their voting results. And so more than looking at a profile, I'm really interested in seeing, as the data starts to emerge, a way to build a picture. How many decisions has this person voted on? What categories, if any, of decisions are they contributing to? And in the long run, what is their voting record? Right? I would love to start to see something where we can talk about a DREP in terms of like at one level removed, right? At the level of the average success somehow of the proposals that they helped to approve. And that's not something that's going to happen right away.
Right.
There might not be useful data about that for 10 or 15 years, but what could we do right now to start assuming that eventually we'll get to that point? And are there ways to like tend that space starting now?
Right. Right. So one of the project leaders working on with trust level is looking at milestone data and proposal completion data to really identify high quality proposal and teams. And then once we have those high quality teams, look at the people and personality that's touched that proposal and team, and gain insight from that too. So if a reviewer tends to have 80% of a reviews be of high quality proposals, or proposals that perform well performing proposals, does that say something about that reviewer or not? uh,
You
so
can't
yeah,
force people to interpret it one way or another, but you can put information out there that people can really talk about.
right, exactly. Yeah. So we are looking into some of that kind of relational graph and seeing how we can glean insights by looking at, hindsight is 2020, looking back in time, seeing the thing, I guess we're making a judgment call. I don't know if it's empirical. I guess if you complete a proposal on time, does that empirically mean you're good? um, but anyways, we'll see what comes out of that research. But yeah, so I totally hear what you're saying there, looking at those outcomes and seeing what to do with them. Interesting. Steve, did you fold the things?
I just kind of did what I always do with thongs. So, um, like you were talking about, James, being more interested in the results, and it's not just, I'm sure you don't mean just whether or not what they voted on won or not, right? It's also a lot about, what direction they're going. Any central banker could come in here and set themselves up as a D-rep and, constantly be voting against whatever we think we're voting for, or proposing. And I think the wheat will get separated from the chaff as time, as we get numbers of proposals coming in, because there's going to be these proposals that are confusing, right? Like, this could really decentralize everything, or this could be the worst fucking thing in the world for us. I really anticipate a lot of that kind of stuff. And as well as that tension between people who want to experiment and those who want to kind of be methodical and even paced about stuff, and I mean, that's part of having over $1 billion in your treasury. Like, there's going to be that that portion of the population that wants to say, let's go for it, and I'm like that about some things, but I'm not like that about everything, and it's tricky. It's tricky in terms of, just communicating. I saw somebody say something on Twitter earlier today about, like, we're all talking about the same thing in blockchain, but we have different vocabularies. And I think in large part that's true. And I noticed that shit in my family. Like, I think I know what they're talking about, and then actually they're not talking about that at all, And I know them a lot longer than I know y'all, and it's tricky to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan. Maybe. Are you talking?
You not hear me?
You're very low. Is it me or is it you? You're very low.
Very low for me as well.
You sound like you're stuck in a UTXO.
The tiny one.
Let me switch. How's that any better?
Oh, there you are.
Um,
It's all those scam tokens. They just bog you down,
Following on from what James was asking about, let's have exposure of voting records. I think that's really important, but it's also almost as if this platform is as much about our viewport into how effective decentralization is. Is our governance becoming decentralized, or is our governance pooling? So, am I right in thinking there's still no cap on delegation per DREP? So you can accrue as much delegation as there's no cap to it. Because I know that there was in Catalyst, but I don't know if that's ever been answered in.
I haven't heard that in the last 3 months, like that there is a cap on it.
Yeah, the way I understood the last meeting I was in, there's no cap like they talked about with Catalyst. We'll note that they never actually got that going in Catalyst, at least as far as I know. I don't know.
That seemed like
I think
pretty important.
I think it's something that they're kind of deciding at the last minute, kind of like the same thing with they don't know how to decide that, as well as they don't know how to decide what the deposit should be for making a proposal. Mike Hornan has serious thoughts about that. Rick McCracken, no surprise, has serious thoughts about that. It's tricky.
So given that those are undecided unknowns at the moment, then that's perhaps an important thing for the platform in particular, is to be able to surface those sorts of pooling of power, pooling of whales within our governance structure as they start to form and merge. Because the sort of instinct I have is that YouTubers will have an instant large platform if they choose to become DREPs. The sort of OGs in our space will certainly have, and that's proven tricky in previous Catalyst rounds, funds, etc. So and it has been countered again by some of the work you've done already on the, like, within Catalyst. Your Live Donation site has exposed earning rights. There are people who've managed to achieve successful proposals en masse for a long period of time. They were certainly surfaced at one point, which was important information to surface, damaging to some, beneficial to others. But I think it's it's one of these things that this portal will be more than just helping us choose who to vote for, but actually be monitoring how well we're doing decentralized governance.
Is the way we present stake pools right now, is that a good? Because I know stake pool right now, places like Sea Explorer and what else? What's the other one? I'm forgetting. Is the ADA stats? You've got things like that. You got things like the I'm wondering if that's a good, or maybe I'll leave that up to the design people to brainstorm some of that. Okay. Some of these analytics that they have in here, right?
Yeah, the
They've got
donut.
things, yeah, the donuts, the pool groups, stuff like this. They've got location information. Well, some of the stuff doesn't apply to DREP, but what is that one? Like some of this stuff, have this been useful to people as far as to answer that same question with decentralization, right? Because that applies at the network level and the block production level. What else they have here? Profitability, TPS, usage of insight, supply, storage.
Certainly, whenever I've shared these
Yeah.
people have been very interested.
Super cool, super cool.
Yeah,
How
I
we
think
doing? Yeah.
visualizing things in as many ways as possible is generally helpful. I like those pie graphs. I don't always mean as much to me as they could to people who if I spent more time getting into the nitty gritty of what each one of those, like how could you create groups out of the different SPOs that are diversifying that pie. But yeah, I will scream on the mountaintops for more visuals because humans are super visual creatures. So I think the more we can work to visualize, push the complexity into the visual space, that's artistic. All right. The 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 more powerful it will be. Yeah, the tools will be.
Neat. Super cool. This is great. Are we seeing any gaps so far? Or does this feel like a good MVP? Let's see how the people use the thing. Because that's kind of what I'm area on the side of too. Put something out there. See how people use the thing. Iterate.
Yeah, this is for sure a usable tool on par with the the tool that you're building on top of. So it's awesome to see. I think that like some of your questions, like how long you should be able to edit emojis,
Edit notes.
you're gonna be you, you can try and poll us and whatever, but you're gonna get to decide that one, buddy.
But
I
on
like
the other
lots of
hand,
custom emojis. Let's go.
but taking it a step further, right? This is about more than just from an internal development team collecting, usage data about the thing they're building. I think it's really important from the beginning that there be feedback processes for the
Right.
people who are visiting the platform. What do you need, right? In the very same way that we're telling people that they have some influence over the outcomes on chain, we can put people in that headspace by the things we ask them to do in terms of giving feedback. And we're all used to like forms popping up on a social media site saying, hey, like give us feedback on this, right? But if it can somehow feel different and people can feel like they're building the governance chamber by giving feedback on this site.
Yeah, that's a great point. And interestingly enough, I think I have 2 calls this week with people who wants to be D-Rep, but a lot of D-Reps don't want to make their intention public. So it's been challenging to get a bunch of them in the same room. So it's been a one-on-one type thing, but we're
That's
working
really
through
funny. That's really funny. Delegate to me and be surprised. Yeah.
Well, they're not ready, right? I think they're waiting to see how the social layer of this thing develop, maybe then because a lot of people are scared. I mean, the stake pool is a different thing. You're not making any judgment call. You stand the thing up, the node makes the judgment call. The most you can do is mess with your mempool, at least with the IOG client, until we start getting other clients. Uh, yeah, so you can discriminate against fat transaction. That's it. Other than that, you can't really make a lot of judgment call as a SPO, so it's easy to kind of put yourself out there. But with with the D-Rep, anyways. Uh-huh. Well, that's pretty much all we have. The wireframing is supposed to be completed this week. And then I think I'll just do more of this iteration stuff. We're gonna now go into more of the agile of okay, let's tackle this piece and do the thing. And so feedback. I don't know if the show and tell are public, but Intersect do hold show and tell for other people who are building these tools. So maybe I'll see some of you there. Yes, the dashboard will be public. All of this will be open source. I'm going to use the same license as Gov2, which I think is the Apache 2. I'm gonna lie to you if I tell you I know the nuances of the Apache licenses. But so yeah. I'm just gonna go with that one because they do, and at least, yeah, it works. A lot of my open source stuff that I use is Apache too, so I think it's a good one. Neat. Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for these presentations. These are 2 projects I hope we can keep tabs on in the months to come. Really great, guys. Thank you.
Indeed. I'll be at, oh, sorry. I'm in Nairobi right now. So I'll be at the Catalyst launch here. Hopefully I'll see folks there. Oh, this is still recorded, huh? I'll let you do your thing, James.
Oh, no, that's great. Well, I mean, that's incredible for the public record to know that that event is happening. What's the date of that event?
Oh, do I want to guess? I'm pretty sure they said the 26th, April
Okay.
26th.
Okay, so we got some time. Oh, but that's very exciting. When do results get published for the kickoff site? Or
It
did I
has
miss?
been. It's Barcelona.
Oh, it's Barcelona. Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So it's Barcelona, and then they're going to have satellites as well at 10 location and 10 or 14 and a bunch of online satellites events as well. So there won't be a central town hall. There will be many gatherings.
Right on.
to kick
We're
off.
hosting one here in central Massachusetts. So anybody who wants to attend, there's one in Toronto, there's one in Orlando. But if the Northeast United States is closer to you than those 2 places, feel free to join. Making a final decision about whether to put it on May 4th or May 6th, a Saturday or a Monday. And it really comes down to venues. I think May 4th is nice because it's a Saturday, but it's also college graduation season in a college town. So it might be tough to get a weekend spot. But
It's
yeah,
also Star Wars. So
you can have a lot of really nice Star Wars jokes if you do it on May the 4th. That's right. But yeah, I'm not sure it's in the cards just because we live in this college town and all the hotels are booked, all the conference spaces are booked. So more to come on that. Looking forward to that series of events. That's going to be really cool.
neat.
Neat. Well, great stuff. No need to stick around. It feels like we've covered some good stuff today. Everybody's got some things to think about and maybe have a little time to exercise before your next call.
Right. I know. The story of my life, of everybody's lives here, I'm sure. All the calls.
Yeah.
Exercise
Thank you for
for real?
having us.
Maybe. All right. And for anybody catching this video later, great talks today. And if you're interested, we do this every Tuesday, 1800 UTC. We got a couple of live coding sessions and open spaces sessions as well. It's all on gimbalabs.com/calendar. Come look us up, hang out, build stuff.
If you are going to be a D-Rep at Lido Nation and all the things, and we'd like to hear from you. So hit me up.
Yeah, let's have like a live feedback session here someday when the D reps are starting to identify themselves and you got something going. That'll be really fun.
Neat.
Start courting them.
People are gonna have to like lay out their plans someday. They can only hide their.
I know, right? Eventually, you got to put yourself out there and say, "Hey, pick me."
Yeah.
Tell us, Darlington, you are one, right?
Yeah.
You are one D-Rep.
Am I gonna be a D-Rep?
Yeah, you are, right?
I don't know about me personally, but I am looking at people have been asking what the rules of SPO might be in this whole governance, and it's a little mixed right now, but I don't know. One struggle of running a stake pool so far has just been having community around the stake pool. Since I'm technical, I might look into a scripted DREP and some kind of involving my delegators, maybe like a 2-tier type thing. So we'll see.
That's cool.
Darling, you know what we can do? Because I have a series of calls with D-Reps from Polkadot, the guys who are doing this since 8 months and learning from their experience. And maybe this could be something interesting for you, maybe to connect you with 1-2 delegative representatives from Polkadot, catching a little bit from their experience. So this one main idea as well, like measuring our ideas versus their experience, where you can see, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That would be cool.
That unifier work. Let's go.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
This looks cool.
It's good.
Sheesh, just a couple of hand signals, huh?
Yeah.
Very good.
Let's go and exercise, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Great,
Bye,
great
everyone.
stuff. Yep. Have a good week.